can tell our friends, and they can have my things when we're dead. But we gonna live forever. We gonna live forever. You can tell our friends.
The Boys Cast, the first podcast exclusively for the boys, one-stop shop for the dogs to get the info. You know what's up.
Get all your domes.
Lots of things are coming. Before we start, come to the shows. We're going to be in Naples, Liberty, Columbus, Kansas City, Omaha, Plano, and Phoenix so far. More to be announced. All the tickets for those are on sale. And the clips, everyone always bugs me to put more clips up, and now we have that. So it's the Boys Cast with Ryan Long YouTube channel as clips, and some of them are kind of popping off. So before we even get into any of that, I think everyone needs to know the big news. I don't know, did you hear, but
Hot dog eating competition?
no.
Oh.
Bigger than that. We probably get into the hot dog eating competition, but that pales in comparison to the fact that Andrew Cuomo's daughter has officially come out as demisexual.
That is big news.
You
know, because he's such a fucking meatball, too. He goes, Demi, what now?
I was thinking about that when I was going to sleep. I go, fuck, man. Her sexuality, she hasn't really, because she even said in the article, she goes, when I was in elementary school, I thought maybe I was a lesbian. Then I thought I was going to maybe come out as bisexual. When I was in high school, she thought she was pansexual. And then she finally found it. She found the one that fit her. Yeah. Sort of like, this, you're trying on the Cinderella trying on shoes.
No, it's like the porridge, the little bear.
The little bear, and this one was just right.
This gender identity was just right.
Right. And demisexual, for those of you who don't know, and we have talked about it a little bit, but I just want to also applaud demisexuality because it's the final component that allows every single girl on the face of the earth to be part of the LGBTQ community. Yeah. So if you are, it is the final one where you go, fuck, I'm not gay. I mean, you'd have had that problem.
Yeah, I've never had that problem.
Fuck,
it's too gay.
I'm not really bi. I don't want to be bi.
No.
And then finally, out of nowhere, like a superhero for the progressive age, you go demisexual.
Isn't it amazing how the pendulum shifts where like, queer was such a like dirty, like it was literally like a dirty thing that you call someone. And then now it's just everybody's clamoring to get on board.
They can't wait to be part of the community.
They're like bummed that they're not. Like literally there's women who go, they're like,
it was driving her nuts.
Yeah.
She was tossing and turning in her bed.
I love the idea too that she's now not nuts. She goes, figured it out, not nuts.
She was tossing and turning in her bed. She couldn't believe her luck when she came across demisexual. Someone came to her and they go, and like in a dream, they go, "You're Demi." You're Demi. You know what my favorite part about this kind of shit is? That the whole idea of coming out and why it might be hard, coming out of the closet as gay or whatever, right? Is that people are going to look at it weird, right? And they go, people before, they didn't want gay people to get married. That's a real thing.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, exactly. And that's
gay people were discriminating.
Which is why it's hard to come out of the closet, which is why you have to come out of the closet. There is nobody that gives a shit if you're demisexual. Like, there's no guy, like a caricature in Alabama sitting there being like, these fucking demisexuals.
These fucking demisexuals, what's next? They're going to be marrying dogs?
Yeah. Love. It's all like, love Trump's hate or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, there's no demisexual hate.
No.
So.
Though the problem is you can't hate something you didn't know exists.
It's the equivalent of, It's just kind of thinking you're more important, but the whole thing is trying to be more important. But then on top of that, it's the equivalent of like someone that's into some weird ass shit, like, Dungeons and Dragons or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And then they're kind of sitting there going, these people fucking hate that I'm the dungeon master and I'm not playing by the normal. You're walking, you're at a bar and someone bumps you and you go, because I'm the fucking dungeon master.
It's literally like every open mic comedians go, triggered?
Yeah. Like, you hate that I'm the fucking... that I'm not playing by the rules of traditional D&D. And you go, what?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Did you excuse me?
I saw a Twitter thread actually about this, and so I guess the whole thing demisexual is like someone made it up on like a Tumblr post 10 years ago as like it was like a joke and some sort of like not like a fan fiction thing. Someone made it up and then it like took off but like they were like it literally didn't. I mean, I know all these things at
Well,
some point don't exist.
I made up. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but in hockey dressing rooms, they made up being gay as a joke, and then that's how it started.
yeah.
That's how being gay started. And then one guy in like the hockey dressing room, he's like, "What if we just actually sucked it?"
Yeah.
And then he liked it, and he was like, "I'm gonna start doing
I think
this."
we're onto something here.
Yeah, so that's how being gay started. It started as a joke in college hockey locker rooms, hazing.
Amateur hockey locker rooms.
Yeah, that was the first gay guy.
Do you have any crazy saw any crazy hockey hazing stuff or heard stories?
Yeah, well, when I played hockey, there was like different teams, but me and my group of friends, whenever I played sports, were kind of not into any of that shit. But there was
super gay shit.
Well, there was at my high school. I remember the younger age, they did the thing where they all fucking legitimately they put their dicks tied them to a string. And then the string goes
with the pucks.
And then
that's
go
literally
to the
what I was
roof
just
and
about
then
to
down,
say.
And then they would throw pucks in the bucket, and then it pulls on your dick.
Dude, I was literally about to say that.
Dude, if any of
my
that
friend
shit,
played in the
yeah.
OHL, and that was the craziest.
So
story I
people
heard.
did do that shit, but my kind of year or whatever, I think whatever. Maybe there was more people like me on it that were like, yeah, we're not.
Yeah, I'm not tying
I'm a little
a
more concerned
bucket to
about
my
fucking.
cock.
Dude, we were more concerned about getting kicked out of places.
Yeah.
Like going to the
You weren't
tournaments.
super worried about tying
fucking showed up
tying
to the
buckets
tournament.
to your cock?
No, I was always against that shit.
Not a big-
I never liked that frat boy shit. The
Yeah.
closest I liked to that stuff was I liked Jackass.
Yeah.
But
My friend told me he would he was like a rookie in the OHL, and literally he's like in the shower, and guys would just literally take a shit in their hands and throw it at him.
Yeah, that was it got a little out of control. You might say that the hazing era. I mean, even in legitimate U.S. frats, you'll hear girls where the story was they're like the girl had to fucking tie her legs together and they put her naked and she had to crawl around.
Oh, it's like always
peanut
sounds
butter.
pretty criminal.
If she wanted to be a part of the sorority, and you're like, this is fucking. You guys are losers.
Yeah.
That's fucking gay as shit.
It's a bit much.
Yeah, you don't have to do that stuff to be a comedian. But the other thing is, there's this idea that people always say that it was just making me laugh because we were making fun of our friend JJ in the chat group, and everyone always talks about how, you call people gay as a joke, and they go, well, that's because you hate gay people, and you go, no, I have multiple gay friends, and I'm consistently accusing them of being straight. Everyone I know that I'm gay, you go, you're not gay. You fuck girls, you fucking straight.
Just be out with it. Come out.
So, okay, we released this Hollywood video today, and I actually have a lot of stuff kind of to go through. I feel like it was in a bit of an eventful week for fucking the crazies.
Oh, yeah.
But so we released the Hollywood video this week, and so it's been on top of my mind because everyone's talking about it and stuff. But I went to see the Purge, the new Purge.
You went to a movie theater?
I went to the movie theater. Yeah. It's pretty solid.
Cool.
And one of the things that movie theaters all have now is they're pretty aggressively all have the big comfy seats. You're essentially sitting in sofas in most of these movie theaters. I feel like that's caught on in a lot of places.
I like that.
And it still blows my mind how these movie theaters exist. Even whenever I go to a movie theater in downtown New York, I go, this rent must be $200,000 a month.
I mean, I always think I'm like, yeah, and there's an AMC near here, on 2nd Avenue or something. And you're like, put fucking 50 stories of condos on top of it.
Put 50 stories.
Seems like
of
the only way to
condos,
really make that work.
Or a nightclub. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
How does it happen? In your opinion?
Considering I don't even know the last. I guess
I spent $20
Fast and
there.
the Furious makes them a lot of money.
How much money? Who's funding these places? It doesn't make any sense. And they go, everyone always says
literally
it's the
the whole-
concessions. They go, they make money on concessions. I go, yeah, my popcorn was $8.
Yeah.
Huh?
It costs 4 cents, but it's the whole AMC thing with the stock market. It's actually an insane thing because they were almost bankrupt, and then because everybody made the share price of AMC go higher, and then they just sold a bunch of money, and all of a sudden AMC went from almost bankrupt to we have $2 billion in just cash right now.
Yeah, but okay, so now
they
they have a
could-
lot of cash.
yeah, they're not gonna make
Still,
it- it
It's
doesn't
not
re-
profitable,
No, not profitable.
business model.
I think it was, even before COVID, you were hearing a
Dude,
lot
can you
of like,
imagine looking at it? Okay, so imagine some of these places in fucking high and maybe one of the ideas is
It
I'll
might
tell
be-
you one
yeah.
thing: they just lose money in metropolitans and make it everywhere else. But they need they would just want to be.
they'd
in the
have to be there for sure.
They got to be there.
Yeah, there is a very real chance of that. Like a lot of stores, will have their flagship like Times Square store.
They're losing
they're
money
losing
on
tons
that.
of money. Yeah.
Well, that's every time I go to these places. I go. This is not a possibility. If I went, dude, we look at fucking places for studios. They go, here's a little like one studio apartment, $2,500 in decent location. Okay, and then you go, okay. And you go, okay, so I need a business that can make $2,500 a month. These places, $200,000.
Although-
what were you gonna do here? You go, how about this? We pay a huge amount of money for movies, and then we'll have 8 people at a time watching them.
I mean, I say
But they'll buy popcorn from us.
one assumption though, which maybe makes it a little better, is maybe AMC bought that piece of, they own that thing outright, and
Well, they do, but still, that's still opportunity
But the-
cost.
right? Yeah, they could.
You're just saying maybe, okay, whatever. That's less relevant.
No, it's not a good business. It was a bad business before COVID. Now they're like, we need everybody 8 feet apart. And although I guess you don't need that anymore.
So it kind of feels like with, the Hollywood, by the way, remember how the Holocaust line was yours and I go a little white? You said that?
Yeah.
Everyone was like, no, the Hollywood definitely would have made that movie. I told you people wouldn't like that line. I go, people would go, oh yeah, Hollywood doesn't want to make a Holocaust film. People weren't happy with that one.
I'm saying they haven't made one in a while. I'm telling you, if you pitched it now,
I think you're right a
Right
little.
now, they would be like, it's been done.
It's just the casting thing. They go, we would straight up have to have, like, they would have to have a way that they don't have an all-white cast in it. That's the problem
so
with it.
Dunkirk, I'm pretty sure it's Dunkirk. I remember watching it. And if anybody's seen it, you can correct me, but I'm pretty sure it's Dunkirk or some movie like Dunkirk, where, because it's obviously all white people because it's World War II, and then there was one scene where there was one black guy.
Yeah.
And like, it must have been like an artistic choice where they go, we're going to like put...
Dude, they have the new movie, they have the guy, and it was like 1860 or whatever, and they made the princess like...
Bridgerton. Yeah,
Yeah.
Bridgerton. They're like, we're going to do this, but all black. And you're like, okay. I mean, cool.
That's fine. Yeah. But I mean, whatever. That's fine. But
I mean, if they're going to do that, and like, if they have the idea, we're going to make them vampires, and I was like, oh, that's not that
I just
much
don't
crazier.
like my biggest problem is the remakes and the thing, because it's like they just don't have an original idea. And it's all this laziness, and it's almost like Hollywood, and Hollywood's been the fucking problem since the start. Like, I think one of the best points is Hollywood being like, oh, we didn't want to put Bruce Lee out because like everyone's too racist for this, and then they put him out and everyone loves him. And they'll kind of say the same thing about other celebrities. They go, I don't think people are ready for this, and they put him out, and everyone everyone goes, we're not no one's as racist as you think we are.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
You're just
they
kind
go,
of projecting.
listen, you guys aren't ready for this. You're too racist. And everyone's like, we're not that racist.
There you go. We love
But
Kung Fu.
They're trying to will racism into existence the same way. So this movie, it's like a caricature of what they think, the people in the South are, right? And it basically reminds me of Hollywood's trying to will like sexism and Islamophobia into existence. Is basically the same way that they try to will Jim from The Office and Justin Long into being an action star.
Yeah.
It's like they have a history of being like, this is what we want to do. And you go, just jam in the square peg in a round hole.
Yeah, it's like they just make their whole life's work and their job to just be like, I'm going to make this happen.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
telling
like,
you.
It's like aliens came down and they told them what this world's like. And they go, dude, half the country, they are so fucking racist. And they go, got it. I'll write that.
It's funny too, because then you think it's some sort of meeting to be like, do we really want to alienate half the country with this movie?
Well, they think that in their minds, half the country right now is like prepping their kerosene for their cross burning.
Right.
Like,
So
that's
they
how
go, they're not even going to these movies.
Yeah, they going to movies. They're prepping to for the race war. Like that's how they see it. So
The race wars are coming.
but it's so fun. So the Purge was. Kind of should have been a one-time pop to begin with, but
What number are they on?
They're made a
More
lot
than
of them.
Fast and Furious?
But I don't know how many they were. They stopped giving them numbers. Like this was called like the Purge, like reset or whatever.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what, but it was. They stopped giving them names like that. But the premise, and they essentially they revamped it and they went hard on like today where they go because of Trump. Basically, there's so much division, so we need another purge because that's the way that people will calm down. Like so they tried to shoehorn their purge into essentially what today's political climate.
Was there
is.
anybody in a MAGA hat?
No, they didn't. They didn't
Not,
make
like,
it
they
that
don't go
on the
like,
nose,
yeah,
I don't
okay.
think, but maybe they did. I can't really remember, but.
Or like a red hat where you like.
But the best part was, so they do the purge, and the purge ends, and everyone in the purge goes, "We're not done purging. This purge goes on forever." And the gist of it was because all the white people decided that this is the forever purge because we need to get rid of fucking Mexicans. So the purge is over. But everyone's getting together, and it's like, Confederate, like South will rise again kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And the gist of it is we need to take our country back by purging. And
okay,
so this is the forever purge, and whatever.
I thought the whole point of the purge was that it's like the government allows it for a day. It's legal.
There is an undertone of some of the people in the movie that are kind of like, you don't understand. The government wants you to fight, and they were like, we don't care. We're we're here to cleanse. We're just fucking racist to the core. They had a guy walking around with a swastika tattoo on his head, just being no more Mexican. So this is the kind of stuff that's happening, and that I'm like, whatever. I'm watching this being like standard. They're shoving it down your face. I don't even care honestly, when I go to the movies, I don't even care if it's good or bad. I just like going.
Yeah,
but. The funny part these people is Mexicans. I mean, they're doing the
Mexican movie makers.
No. So what happens was they basically, because the America's got so bad because of all the purging, they need to go try to be refugees in Mexico. So Mexico goes, we're going to open up our border to let a few people in because America's gotten so bad. So so the news comes on and they go, these dreamers.
No.
They call the American dreamers.
I would literally be in the movie theater being like, fuck off. Like I would be audibly just like,
so the Mexican government is deciding how many dreamers they're gonna let in because America is such a shithole, right? So Americans become the refugees into Mexico, and the Mexican government decides how many they're gonna take refugee. But here's the best part:
we're in like some sort of artistic dark age right now, at least for movies. What the fuck is this?
Yeah. So even better than that, and this is my favorite part by far, is so all of the people including the Mexicans, are fleeing back to Mexico. Mm-hmm. And they have the people that are, the coyotes bringing people to Mexico, right? So all the Mexicans that are in this guy's group, they're there trying to get back to Mexico. But the racists who were trying to kill the guys want to kill them before they get to Mexico.
It's basically like the Underground Railroad. It's like the opposite. It's like they're trying to get to Canada and the slave masters are trying to kill them.
Right, but they weren't trying to kill them. The premise was we want them back in Mexico. And then, so the premise is like, we want our country to be, white again. That's the whole idea. We have too many Mexicans here. As this starts happening, the Mexicans and some white people are like, we're fleeing back to Mexico. And they go, oh, no, you don't. So these people are trying to get to Mexico before the white supremacists who live in Houston.
Do they maybe want them dead more than they want them in Mexico?
Well, allegedly they do.
Yeah.
But why would that be the case when why would you not? Okay, so we're in a big city. They go, we're going to get rid of all the Mexicans. Half the Mexicans go, we're going back to Mexico. Instead of being like, okay, solved on that front.
This movie had probably 400 rewrites. Like every time something in the news cycle was like, how do we like shoehorn this in? And you're like,
oh yeah.
And you're like, then you shoehorn it in. You're like, this makes all this other stuff not make sense now though. And you're like, whatever.
That this movie got, and every time they rewrote it, they added a new thing that fucking, wrecked the whole rest of the movie for sure. And then they would just be like, what if we just say that line? There was all sorts of lines.
Yeah,
that didn't
just
make
single
sense.
lines.
Like they'd just be driving in the car and the Mexican guy would be like, we need to get to safety. And the white guy would be like, maybe racists shouldn't be together. And this is like the protagonist white guy too.
This 84% of Google users like this movie.
Oh yeah,
not good reviews though across the board. But you know what? You know how there's that whole thing where like Rotten Tomato with all the movies that are like the woke movies, and they get really high Rotten Tomato scores. And then they
it's like the Bo Burnham special where the people are just like,
This is average across the board.
Yeah, the people just open their mouth for movies like this to jizz in it. They're like, the Purge finally takes on social issues. What the Purge was lacking in awareness, they have finally... The Purge finally opens its eyes. So when you see this shit, and then
This looks bad.
you have actors... and every movie was some version of this. I watched the preview. Like, they're all this kind of shit, right? But it's so funny with these Hollywood people just live in this dream world. And then you hear the Hollywood people come out and talk and say their opinions. And there's this idea where people go back and forth on the idea of like whether Hollywood people or athletes should be able to talk, right? They go, this dumb athlete or whatever, this dumb thing. And so when you go, oh, just because it's an actor doesn't dismiss them or whatever, but like it a little bit does when you go, this person got really famous for something different, and now they're trading in that capital so they could tell you their opinions.
Yeah.
Whereas this person, whether you like it or not, got popular from saying their opinions.
I mean, for sure.
But like, there is a fucking difference.
But a lot of times too, when people get mad at some actor for giving his opinion, they're mad at him for giving the opinion that contrary to the one you hold.
That's of course true,
and vice versa.
And then
so it's
on
like,
both sides, as soon as they'll be like, Patricia Arquette could suck a dick, and then Kevin Sorbo's like, Trump's sick, and they're like, these actors nailed it.
They go, they need to step up more, and you're like, shut up. You're like, you just like hearing your own opinion said, and you don't like somebody going against your opinion.
Right.
Yeah, it's like
obvious.
And then you take offense. Like, look, if LeBron James all of a sudden was like, Donald Trump is the greatest president
So sick.
this country has ever had, instantly everybody would be like, get out of your fucking lane. That's right, LeBron.
Yeah, of course.
Like,
Did so Matthew McConaughey, he's a funny one for me because, like, I don't actually think he's like that stupid, but it's just like he just seems like a guy that took so much fucking acid.
yeah, he's out there.
He's out there, so it's like underneath it all, I bet you, like, if you was your friend, I go, he's not that, but like the things he does this 4th of July video. Did you see this?
I didn't see it. No, I heard something where he's America's going through puberty or whatever.
Yeah, but it's all very much like, and sometimes you open up your eyes, and those eyes didn't want to be open, but you just got to sit back and let the breeze come through. And this is the 4th, and some people, they might not want to be open to the 4th, or the 3rd, or the 7th. But we live in a tumultuous time. And what is time? Like, it's all that.
He's just like fucking taking bong rips, like,
dude,
wearing a poncho, just like,
it's straight up ayahuasca trip, dude. Like, whack.
he seems like that type of guy, though.
You know what he seems like? The type of guy that you walked in, and he's doing that, and then you like went to get like some food. You came back, and you walk back in the house, and he's like, and the sky could be blue. Maybe we all a little blue. And you go, oh, you're still going?
He's like that college roommate everybody had, where he was like, everybody had the crew, and then there was like the one guy they picked up for the extra room. He just kind of straggles on the couch. You walk by him, he just has all these fucking philosophies.
He is the one guy. It's almost like, seems like it would be an informant. You had that guy in your house, you go, this can't be real, right? You're not like,
you're here to bust us on something.
This is not a real personality.
Yeah,
I think that's just being famous for too long. Like, dude, the amount of times that Matthew McConaughey probably in his life brought some fucking bitch home to the W Hotel in LA and was like, there's 4 planes of
oh yeah, probably
human
like,
brain.
and she's like, are we gonna fuck? And
no,
he's
she was
like,
probably like, Jesus Christ, and you're brilliant too.
no, probably a lot of girls are like just like kind of vaping. They're like, are we gonna fuck? And he's like, not before you hear the theories. She's like, oh.
Well, America or American. And that's a crossroads. We're all at a little no, he does it like that. The girls go to him and they go, he's trying to fuck them. He's like, could I bring you back? And she's like, I don't know. I'm kind of married. And she goes, every life has a crossroads. And you make decisions and you live with those decisions. And your husband, and she goes, fine,
I'll fuck you just for the story.
Just stop. No more of this. But you sent so when we talk about, their Hollywood bullshit, that's why you sent this article that I thought was fucking ruled. But the ESPN New York Times article.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Rachel Nichols.
Whole story is insane.
The whole story is insane.
Yeah.
So she got hit on like a hot mic.
It was like in the Zoom thing where they were like, I think she was in her hotel room. She had a camera on and there was like a main switchboard at ESPN and they were just literally, she forgot to turn it off and someone was just like watching her phone call, her private phone call. And I mean, so if people don't know, the whole story is she's like an NBA reporter. Okay. She's been doing it for like, 30 years or something. She's 40. I went and looked this because I feel like this context matters like a little bit. So she's 47. She's like one of the preeminent like female in like, male dominated thing. She's like NBA, does like all their stuff. So she was supposed to do the NBA finals last year. And then there's this girl, I think her name is Maria Taylor, who's like also, again, I'll totally say this. Like, I'm sure they're both equally qualified. It's not like some crazy hard job to go to Chris Paul after he scores, wins a game. Maybe goes like, what were you thinking or whatever. Like, it's not,
but you're right.
But she says she was promised like in her contract to do that. And then ESPN had been criticized a ton about like diversity stuff. So they were like, we're going to have this black female girl who's like 30. Basically, we're like, she's going to do the NBA finals in front of you. She didn't even make a stink about it. She was on a private phone call being like, yeah, like it sounds like they're trying to cover their asses for their weak track record on diversity. So they're picking her which is like, yes, that is what they're doing. Right. Obviously, like it's obviously what they're doing. She said that in a private phone call, someone was recording her and then like leaked this recording. And all of a sudden she's this like crazy villain. And everybody's like, can you believe? And you're like, I mean,
so I'm going to push back against you a little.
Okay.
Here. So basically, I'll just read the thing with exactly what she said. And she said, I wish Maria Taylor all the success in the world. She covers football. She covers basketball. Nichols said, if you want to give her more things because you're feeling pressure about your crappy long-time record on diversity, which, by the way, I know personally from the female side of it, go for it. Just find it somewhere else. I don't want you to find it by taking my things away. And I go, in my opinion, there is truth to what she's saying, but I go, this sums up every single fucking woman in Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's that I'm for all your shit. I'll say all your stuff as long as it doesn't take my thing away.
I mean, I think that's everybody. You think there's no guy?
There is plenty of guys that do it as well, but I'm saying there's also plenty of guys that don't fucking lie. Like, this is the mentality.
But not on ESPN.
This is the mentality of someone that would say, yeah, take it away from a guy. Take it away from that person.
Sure. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Well, but to me, so I agree with you in the fact that this is obviously real. Mm-hmm. You go, hey, like you're supposed to, it would be gaslighting her, which is what they're doing when she goes, hey, they're trying to take my job away from diversity. And if that,
and they're saying like, no, it's just random. They're being like, no, it's just random.
It either is or isn't what's happening.
Yeah.
And if they said, oh, we're so all about diversity, and then they go, we're gonna take your job. So that either did or didn't happen. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not inherently racist as she said that. It either is true or it isn't.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Yeah. And for her to be like, well, they're taking my job away because of diversity. And then for her they're gaslighting her for her to say that. So I'm with you on that. Mm-hmm. But this person who's been championing all this stuff and all she's hoping is that the woman card could fucking add a little juice.
Absolutely.
She'd be the first person to be like, fire this other person who's been there for 40 years. Fuck him. Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
Yeah, she might for some old. The problem is for her thing is it's her and then a bunch of former NBA players. So it's like, it doesn't, like, the only way you get fired is the Paul Pierce thing. I don't know if you saw that.
Tell me about
Paul Pierce was on this panel show with her and I forget who else. And Paul Pierce, like one weekend, was on Instagram Live with like 400 people in his house. And he was like wasted with all these strippers everywhere.
Yeah.
And,
I
like,
know that.
Remember that? Yeah. And he got fired for that. Like, that's how you get fired from that gig as a basketball player, or you leave.
Yeah. And to go back to what you're saying, it is true. This is the big difference between, when you have industries that are real, for example, like it's in sports, the guy who's the best is the guy who's the best. In, let's say hedge fund management, the guy who made the best money, the most money may be the best.
Yeah.
Or a million other things. In basketball, fucking girl commentator, it could be anyone. It could be in anybody. Acting, it could be anyone.
Yeah. And her basically thing is she's like, look, I've put in, 25 years. I like, I've done the whole thing.
I fucking did all your bidding. I said all the stuff you wanted
promised
me to say.
this thing, and then I mean, it's happened a million times. Where like, especially for I'm sure women too, where they just the age old like we just replace you with a hotter, younger version.
but
it's because they're not doing anything that's like that crazy.
So you're pointing out that she's saying this privately as like, everyone says this shit privately, so, and my kind of point is, yeah, exactly. Like that's the fucking problem, is that she's lying publicly.
Well, what else is she going to do? She can't, dude, she publicly came out like she'd literally get fired. She works for Disney.
I'm not saying telling anyone how to live their life. Listen, if you work for the NBA and the NBA says, I need you to say this about gay people, I need you to say this about this group, I need you to say this about this, and you decide, if you choose, you go, I'm going to say all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then, whether...
I know what you're saying. You're saying like, you've been saying all this stuff. Why are you surprised that we're doing it all of a sudden?
Yeah. And also it's like, it's this selfish mentality. It's a lot of the fucking white people at the top of these businesses. They go, yeah, like as long as they're fine, they have no care for fucking if this fucks over some dude, whether that be, about a lie about some shit he said or a tweet or whatever it is.
Yeah.
This person would never stand up their neck for some other guy and be like, no, they would fucking roll over all day, every day for anyone else.
It's a self-preservation thing. It's like, it's easy. I've said it before. Where
exactly.
Like, we know so many people who have like zero sense of self-preservation in the arts. And you're like, look, like, especially stuff like this where you're like, they're taking it from somewhere. So it's like, if you're not going to fight for yourself, you're going to roll over. Like, they're going to take it from your thing.
But you were literally the guy in fucking war or whatever, where they're like, hey, we're killing 5 people here. And you're like, him.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm just saying that, well, you may be right that she has a point.
Oh,
it's
I'm
also
not like
you're the person that's been telling everyone, trying to,
Yeah, no, my whole thing was more the public reaction from everybody, where everybody was like, "Can you believe?"
Well, that's all getting convoluted.
Yeah.
That's that's it getting convoluted, and almost them trying to binary politicize this. You know what I mean?
I know. It was like on Twitter when it was trending, and then I started reading it, and everybody's like, "Oh, this is like, can you believe people like this think that?" You're like, it's what happened.
That's the other part. So
it's like, whether you want to like say it's wrong for her to say that, which it's not. I mean, I guess people are literally trying to like end her life over this.
Yeah,
like to take away. She's working whatever ESPN for like 20 years. They're like, we're just gonna something you said in a private phone call.
Yeah, I mean. That part is like, there's like 3 separate parts here. And that's why I'm just saying, this is the mentality that all these people have. And like we said, we've watched it with a bunch of our friends. They all have the mentality of fucking woke for thee, but not for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
They're like, yeah, we need, no, I mean, at the end of the day, it's really their mentality is like, we just need less white guys.
She's using all the language. She even,
she wants to say, she's saying, take it from a white guy.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
But I don't even know if she probably gives that much of a shit about that. She just knows that's her card to play.
Yeah, exactly.
So for me, it's like you're playing this game and then whatever, now you're losing at the game. And you're right. She's going privately and then she's saying, I just wish they would take it from somewhere else. You're right.
She was literally
exactly what's happening.
So this phone call was, she was strategizing with LeBron James's.
I saw that.
Yeah, something like a guy works for LeBron James, like really close to them. Probably not anymore, but
Mendelssohn. She just wants girl status to compete with black status, and she goes. She was at pause for a moment during the conversation, and she planned to wait for she said she planned to wait for ESPN's next move. Mendelssohn, who is also white, said, "I don't know. I'm exhausted between Me Too, Black Lives Matter. I got nothing else." Nicholson then laughed.
Yeah.
So she's with the guy being like, "I know it's all fucking."
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. So that's kind of what they were getting mad at too. They go, "She don't think any of that stuff," and you go, and then the people were, a lot of them saying like, we're behind closed doors. The fucking all these liberal but it is true. It's what we both probably agreed on is that their job said, "Yo, go out and fucking be an activist if you want to keep your job."
Exactly. And it's like you have to almost be proactive about it, because then if you're not, you'll be seen as like not
right.
doing it's the anti-racism thing.
She knows this is all a game. And then they said Mendelssohn throughout the conversation strategized how she compete, telling her that And then she said having two women competing over the same job was a sign of ESPN's wider shortcomings with female employees. So she's trying to say,
I mean,
see
but
what I'm
one of the
saying?
funnier things is like,
It's a girl job.
No, but it's like, wait, you think guys want to fucking watch NBA and it's just the panel's 4 chicks?
Yeah, but also
It's like there's one female job. It's like, I don't know.
yeah, there's one female job, and then so that's on top of this. You go, yeah,
and it's like that job didn't even like there wasn't one forever, and it's like they made one.
made
it's
a
like,
job
but it's
for
like
them.
it can't be all like I watch like CNBC sometimes. The CNBC sometimes you'll watch for 2 hours straight,
Yeah.
and you don't see one guy anymore because they actually have made a lot of where they're like really like it used to be. It was like 100% guys, maybe
Yeah.
one woman here and there. But
Like, yeah, I know
but
what
it's
you
different.
mean.
You know, it's like sports is like I don't know.
But just because you're competing with another girl for the job, it's like, what should you only be competing with guys then? It's just like the dumbest point where you go, oh, hey, there's actually you and another girl up, pitting us against each other, and it's like, yeah,
I mean, it's a job that we like.
Well, we're not allowed to give
shoehorned
it
in
to a
for
guy.
Yeah, it's like a job we literally invented for a woman.
But she's basically saying like, we'll invent a new girl job,
Yeah, basically.
or kick one of the guys out, just not me.
Yeah, like
So that's why I guess I don't know if anyone cares if she has my sympathy, but I'm just
No.
like, I just feel like it's such a
I
perfect
think for her too-
summation of how these people go through life.
But I think for her too, at a point, because she's been doing this a long time, probably at a point for her career wise, like being a woman and black was probably like the same footing. And
That's
then
exactly.
And then she kind of got ahead, and she was like ahead as being a woman, and
Yeah.
then she got like
Black got
passed
hot.
by black. So now she's like, yeah. So she was like, fuck, I was ahead, I got ahead, I broke from the pack, and now I'm behind again.
dude,
it's all jockeying for
It's all
position.
jockeying. Women don't help. And you know what else? I know some. I was talking to like, I won't even put them on blast who it is or whatever, but just Asian people, and they were kind of saying.
Ryan's putting all Asian people on blast.
Well, I'm just not gonna say who it
No,
was because
no,
they're
no.
not open about you
Yeah,
know
being
like
Asian?
putting their saying opinions like this.
Oh yeah.
But they
I was just laughing at me. It's a closeted Asian guy. I don't know. Like every day he like tapes his eyes open
Yeah,
or
he ain't
whatever,
open
and then
about it.
I go, he's Asian?
people
What?
don't- But they were like, you know, they didn't go on the narrative, and everyone immediately was like saying that they didn't help enough on this thing and blah blah, and they were getting yelled at, and it was just that thing where it's like. Basically the moral of the story is if you play this game, they go, if you do all of the stuff that we want you to do, your prize is we will let you have a victim status.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
I mean, it's the ultimate. Yeah.
if you do everything, we will let you. Now you can be like, oh, I'm Asian, so it's hard. But the minute you go, you know what? Men kind of have it harder. I don't know about this Me Too
Yeah.
thing. The minute you cross one line, they go, no, you're not Asian anymore. Now you're white.
Yeah, you're just back to white.
You're a white man.
Yeah, you're a white man. Go, must be nice.
Yeah, so they go, the minute you don't go along with one single thing, they go, you're out, pal.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't have a lot of tolerance for the people who preach tolerance. They don't.
Probably the best way to describe with this, diversity or whatever. And this goes
I
with...
fucking love diversity, by the way.
I fucking love diversity.
Diversity's sick.
Yeah, we need
so
some
sick.
more. We need
Diversity
diversity in
Diversity
bobbleheads.
is so sick.
Yeah.
I honestly saw, so before the game one of the NBA finals, I didn't catch what he was saying because the TV was off in the bar I was at, but the commissioner of the NBA was like doing this whole like diversity in NBA, like like we need more diversity and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, do the players. It's like so amazing that they could be like, okay, like diversity for the teams, really bad. That's such a like if the best teams are the least diverse.
Yeah.
Always. It's like, and then everything else. They're
Well,
like,
it
no,
depends.
diversity is great for everything else, but
If you think
it's
that diversity
clearly
means
so
not, just
bad.
not white, then they're
Well, that
actually
is what
nailing
they-
diversity.
well, this is what they mean.
So then diversity is
Well,
great
no,
for
no,
the
no,
teams.
no, it just means.
They had that one Olympic team or whatever where they did put on a token white guy.
I used to
It
do
was
that.
kind of a hoopla.
I did that joke for a minute where the Raptors parade and they were like, "This team's so diverse." I'm like,
Yeah.
"It's all black guys." It's literally.
I
entirely
want.
a ton
That's
of
what I
black
would
guys.
like. I wanted to do. I did an interview about this where I just kind of mentioned it, but I just love the idea that like giving like the UN or something awarding like China's cabinet a diversity win for having 100% diverse.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's like, yeah, it's not what diversity means.
Yeah. So yeah, when women got included in diversity, it's even funnier. So it's like, dude, I only fuck women who are diverse just because every woman is considered diverse. But there is kind of this idea where you go, okay, It's the like you have to lie. So I think there are multiple things where you go, diversity might be good, right? Or maybe it's bad in some things, or maybe you just want it. And there's all different things. Like you can probably say in basketball, like meddling around with like the races and religions of the players would not have a positive effect on the league. I think everyone can agree on that. Mm-hmm. And then you might agree in, commercials, for example, meddling around maybe would have a positive effect depending on what the product is and who you're trying to appeal to.
Yeah.
And so there's always this thing, or in where there probably isn't any plus or con, like meddling around with who gets to host the Oscars. It might not matter.
Yeah, it might not
like
matter.
If you pick a rapper or you pick a rock, it might not matter at all.
Yeah, because nobody cares about
So
that
you
anymore.
go, okay, so we know we want diversity and the cost here is zero. And then there's times where we'll objectively make it worse. And there's times where and every situation is different. And you have to lie about what they are. That's probably the problem.
Well, you just have to straight say that there's no negatives. It's all positive.
But how can you move forward when everyone's lying? So if you say, hey, we want diversity on this comedy show, and you go, okay, listen, these women have been doing comedy a little less. In this specific scenario that I'm making up, you go, the women have been doing comedy a little less, so the show will be a little worse. And they say, okay, but we're willing to do that. As opposed to they say, no, it won't be worse.
Yeah.
And then you say, okay, so they're just lying. We can't really have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all these people are lying. But if everyone could be a little more honest and you said, hey, what's the financial cost to, in this thing, we have 1,000 white finance people and we have only 200, this many, whatever finance people, women, let's even say.
Sure.
Because in that specific thing, that's who went into that field. And if you be honest and you say, this is probably the cost of like meddling around with this racially.
Yeah.
And then we say, are we willing to do that? Fine. Yeah. And maybe even have that subsidized if you really decide as a country
And
that's
you
important.
could make a calculation where you say it might be a cost now, but we actually might get paid out for this later. And there might be a bigger payout
Right.
later. Maybe.
But you'd have to say, it's like when you're talking about people and they say, this is going to be worse for your company, right? Or this can be worse for the economy. You can say, an economist can say, over the last 500 years or whatever, let's say 200 years, when you raise the minimum wage this much, this is what's happened.
Yeah.
Those charts exist. So if you say, hey, when you raise this lever this much, this is how much it's changed. And if you look at some of the levers and you go, like at Hollywood acting, we did all this, we changed it, and maybe it didn't change, maybe it didn't mess around with anything. Maybe in television it messed it around this much. And you can be honest about what those changes are.
Yeah.
We added 5 women to this basketball station and it didn't really change it that much. Or maybe it changed it for a second. People watched over here and then
but
they
they
didn't
came
really
back and they didn't
and it
care.
didn't actually. Yeah. And you can actually have an honest conversation about what is making, whereas certain places, like let's say a Comedy Central, they go, we're going to go hard on this stuff. And it's objectively, their ratings are way down. People aren't watching. And you have to pretend that that's not happening.
Right. No, well, it's like we said it all the time. They because we always share they'll post, posts or whatever that are like basically whatever. They're like an open mic comedian essentially, and Comedy Central will be like, here's this hot up and coming comedian, and then all comments are all like, what is this? Like they're trying to tell their audience like, hey, this is what you like now, and they're like,
the audience is like, we stopped listening to you.
yeah,
a long time ago.
They're like, why do we follow? I don't even remember following this page anymore. Like, why do I follow this page? Like.
And yeah,
And then, but at Comedy Central, they see it in this cognitive dissonance where they're just like, no, they're wrong.
yeah.
Keep on this path.
But
And eventually they'll change their minds.
I think that's true. But I would even extrapolate this to so many other things where it's like, it's very hard to have an honest conversation about any of these things. Like whether you say immigration and they go, immigration, we should just objectively be for more, and anyone who's again, and most people that are, economists or doing any sort of calculations probably agree that a certain amount's this. And then you say, well, what is the effects? And they say, there's no negative effects. And you go, there's obviously positive effects and negative effects, and they're happening to different people. So who does this help? Who does this hurt?
Yeah, it can't
and they
be-
say, well, it helps everyone and it hurts no one. And it's like, am I talking to a fucking 2-year-old?
Basically. I mean, you're talking to like a college kid.
Yeah.
You're talking to like
But not one that took economics.
No. No, it's like first week of college. So even if they are in economics, like they haven't changed their mind yet or whatever. But yeah, that's a lot.
How will it affect the bottom line of these things? How will moving this lever affect another lever? And they have to say, always good. And then it's like, well, then why not, if it's so good for every company, why not go 1,000%? Because you just accessed a money printer that never stops.
I know.
Like if you say, hey, this hedge fund actually will help them to put all women there. It's like, well, they would have all women tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the funny thing is like, there's only really like because there is a lot of this in finance, but there's really, as far as I know, there's only one famous female investor.
Who?
Kathy Wood. That's it.
George Soros.
George Soros. Whoever's behind George Soros. But it's like Kathy Wood's like the only one. So then, and like they have a real push now where they're like, we need more women, blah, blah, blah. But you're like, the fact is, it's like, there's still only one famous female investor. And maybe people would be like, oh, because they haven't been given the shot. But like, she did it. She was the one she went on CNBC like, I don't know, years ago. And she's like, Tesla's going to be a $4,000 stock. And they like laughed at her. And then like 2 years later, she was right.
Kathy Wood's been killing it. She les or straight?
She's straight. She's super Christian.
Interesting.
Like hardcore.
Hot?
No, she's like 60.
I said, is she hot?
Yes. She's a queen.
Well, okay, before I move on, just quick, want to say a shout out to the sponsor, Fume, the best way to quit smoking and vaping naturally. And by the way, I had a stunt where I was vaping for 6 months and I quit at cold turkey vaping.
I saw that.
So I got these. They sent me a bunch of the Fumes. They actually are kind of fun to dick around with.
Cool.
Because you sort of chew on it and it's no smoke and it's
chew on it? It's a chewable?
It's like a wood pipe.
Oh, got
it.
You
put stuff in it and you can puff it and it kind of like is minty and there's different flavors and it's kind of like fun to do.
It's like the Popeye cigarettes.
It's a little bit like
for
that
adults.
without, some
Popeye
on
cigarettes
that.
for adults.
And they're Canadian-made, handcrafted wooden inhaler with no electronics, cores filled only with the benefits of sugar plants, no electronics, harmful chemicals or nicotine, helps with hand-to-mouth habit, nicotine cravings, menthol cravings, quitting stress. Head to breathefume.com and check out their Quit Naturally pack if you want to do it. I got out of the vaping game. I literally, at one point, I was vaping a lot and I was just like, all right, I'm not starting smoking at 35.
Yeah. Remember Soldo? Everybody Soldo? Like at like 32.
He's doing acid.
He started smoking. I remember he's just like smoking. I was like, dude, I'm like, you're just taking up smoking right now?
It's
like
nuts.
In your 30s? And he's like, yeah. And then he quit eventually, but I was like, dude, you're fucking insane.
You're nuts.
Yeah, you're just nuts. Sure.
Well, this is kind of fun to do anyway, the Breathe Fume thing. So use the code BOYS for 10% off on your order today, or go to breathefume.com/boys and you can have the direct link there. So, okay, there was a few other things, but before, I want to talk about the hot dog eating competition and a bunch of other shit too, but also, I just thought this article got sent to me, and it was such a perfect representation of the last article where I'm saying it's always for everyone else, but not for me. You know what I mean? And this woman said, Returnal, why games need more badass middle-aged women. So women in video games are young and sexy or old and wise. But a character who's built up the strength and confidence and experience, sign me up. So you almost have to respect the hustle of women at this point, where they can do this grandiose grandstanding, tie it in with social justice, and you're like, what's your theory? Well, this is just a coincidence, but we need fucking more of what I am. Also, you should think we're hot. Haven't they learned their lesson about fucking with video games?
So crazy. Honestly, I find it so hard to relate sometimes because I don't play video games anymore. But I never, when I played video games, go, you know what's missing in video games?
Fat.
Me.
Gay.
Just, I want to, where am I represented in video games?
Yeah.
I was like, I wanted to be like LeBron James, like playing as LeBron James. And
right.
People are like, why can't I be me in this?
Even Danny, when Danny does VR porn, he makes himself LeBron James. I bought Returnal, a video game from developer, without knowing a thing about it. None of that mattered because I was buying it for the gameplay. I wasn't buying it for the gameplay. I was buying it because of its protagonist, Celine, who's an ordinary character. She's agile, capable, smart. Your character is so fucking smart. Facing a seemingly insurmountable challenge. But she's middle-aged. I finally get to see myself in a video game. It's funny she announced that she goes, hey, I actually didn't buy this video game because I like video games or liking to play it. I bought it because of.
And
The
it
old
would be funny
bitch
if
is the
she's
main
like,
character.
yeah, and I bought this game. I didn't have the console, so after I bought the console and after my husband helped me set it up, I got to playing.
Got to plan. People tend to not pay me much mind because I lack the one thing that would make me relevant to them, children. Whether they mean to or not, the second someone discovers I don't have kids, they recoil slightly, not out of disgust or out of confusion. What does one speak to a 50-year-old woman about if not her kids? Well,
Video
I mean,
games.
what?
Video games.
Video games. But also, that's like, you're right. If you're in a small town and most people probably just hang out with their family in tiny friend group. So, but
Yeah.
if you are 50 and you live in like a major city, no one cares. We know plenty of those.
Of course.
But yes, if you are like an older woman that lives in the middle of nowhere and you don't have kids, like you better be a librarian real quick.
Get those glasses up.
Yeah, you better be a teacher or a librarian or no one's going to give a shit. It's an attitude that's replicated across characters in video games. Women in games typically are young, sexy, and older and wise. You go, why is that? Unless they're villains, of course, which they're sexy and evil. Tropes make better characters. So, yeah. Also, like, this, they're like, we don't need to have stereotypes and all that stuff. You know what? I was thinking about women because women are like really against stereotypes, but they're always like the South. You know, what about them? They're like, all people from the South are inbred and like,
Of course,
super
yeah.
racist.
They're like, yeah.
Just as funny, like like the worst stereotype. What's the worst things you could do right now? Other than being a pedophile, maybe like being like you fuck your family and you're racist.
Yeah. Essentially, yeah.
Where-
Incestual racist.
Yeah, whereas the stereotype to her is just like boring. You're like an old 50-year-old bitch, like you're boring.
Yeah, you're like, nobody cares about you anymore.
There's also the other idea that was making me laugh that, you know, how women are very like, don't judge the past. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, never talk about, you shouldn't judge my past. But then girls are like, hey, you need to apologize for like what happened in this country 500 years ago.
Yeah.
So girls are like, hey, Ryan, you need to apologize for what people in this country that you don't even have ancestors in. I'm the first one of my ancestors to live in America,
Yep.
but you should be apologizing for what happened.
Yeah, I'm busy apologizing for what's going on in Canada.
500 years
Pulling it from
ago.
every-
And yeah, for you, but you go, but I can't ask about what you did in college. I can't ask you what you did with who you dated right before me.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be off no one's business. How many dicks you sucked in my friend group?
You're like, apologize for all those dicks you sucked, and I'll apologize for colonialism.
Yeah, I'm the first one of my entire lineage that lived in America. But you are right. They apologize for people in Canada. You go, well, make up your mind. I'm responsible for the stuff in Canada or the stuff in America.
Can't be everything.
But not both.
Well, you're actually responsible for all the bad things on Earth. Technically.
Yeah.
Technically.
Anyways, isn't that funny? She goes, imagine that. So they're talking about Laura Croft, and she says that Laura Croft is smart and young, but it's unfair because Lauren Croft's not going to age, where they think that like gradually Lauren Croft's character should just be kind of old now. Imagine then what Laura would be like as a person 30 years after the first adventure. What would decades of adventures taught her? What if they... You know how people get mad when they sort of swap out characters with other characters? How do you think people would feel if Laura Croft now in the new game is 70? instead of being hot, she's 70.
And it's like she's slow. Like the game's just so
She
much
got
slower.
saggy ass tits, but she's so fucking wise.
Oh, she's so wise.
She's so wide. What friends had made her think and what frenemies? Yeah, they usually don't age the characters, but well, I've got an idea for her. Go make your video game about a 70-year-old and see how it does.
Sure, we'll do great.
There's
a funny thing in her thing where she goes, I don't know if you're gonna get there, but she's like, if you're rapidly typing out a comment about how women don't play games or they only play Candy Crush, save it. There's only a 2% difference in the number of men and women my age playing video games. I was like, no, there's not. No, there's not.
You think so?
Yeah, you think there's only a 2% difference between 50-year-old men and women playing video games? I've never even heard of a 50-year-old woman.
My
playing video
mom's
games.
never played a video game in her
I don't
life.
know a single one or heard of one. Like whenever you hear it, it like sears into your brain because it's such a rare thing.
Yeah, you're like, shut up. No, you don't.
Yeah, you're like, it's not 2%. It's like that.
A 2% difference.
There's only a 2% difference. The same amount of men and women 50
Get
years
the
old
hell
play
out
video
of
games.
here. Also funny is on this kind of the same topic. You know how everyone's like burning down the churches right now?
Yeah, for it.
Women hate religion, but then they always like, or especially like your New York kind of liberal, they hate religion, but they make everything. They just make up their own religions. Like obviously you could say that about the woke stuff or whatever, but it always made me laugh. Like my mom's, she'd be like, I just know that when we die, we all are angels. And she goes, when our uncle died, she was like, you know, we just know he's watching over us. He's an angel. I go, what one's that again? Where you get everyone's an angel?
Yeah.
She just made up her own religion. I go, you think you make up a religion better than Jesus did?
Also, what a shitty thing where he's like, he dies and he goes, so I just got to watch them live their life for like until they die?
No, they look over you.
But that's what I'm saying.
For eternity. No, then they look over someone else. Maybe your kids.
Oh, okay.
Like right now you have.
But so like you die and now you have a job. The moment you die, you go, all right, you got the Walton family or whatever. Just make sure to watch over them. And then when they die, you'll get relieved. And you go, how long is that going to be? Probably about 80 years before the last one's gone.
But if they have any more kids, you might have to watch over the kids.
Like you're in charge of the lineage, essentially.
Yeah, but there's a lot of them too that are your guardian angels. So right now you have every Polish Chuck that ever died just watching.
So when anything bad happens, is it because they're just kind of sleeping?
No, yeah. So if you ever feel like you were about to make a bad trade and someone grabbed your arm, that's all your Jewish descendants.
Go, no!
No. You just hear like in your ears slowly, no. No. Dude, so I went to the hot dog eating competition, and you want to talk about going 2 hours outside of New York and people are not into this New York fucking city slicker shit.
That's a different breed.
So Joey Chestnut, shout out, 78 dogs, broke his own record by one dog.
He got 78 is what he got?
Yeah, 78 dogs. I couldn't get in, so I straight up it was sold out. I straight up just hit up Nathan's. I go, Nathan's came through with the
shout out to Nathan's.
So let me go through the few things about how insane this thing is. First of all, we show up. They start with a tribute to the cops. Guy comes out. He's like, let's hear it for the fucking boys in blue. De Blasio comes out. He's announcing, right? So De Blasio, he's got like a relish hat on.
Yeah.
People booing him right out of the gate. Everyone goes, fuck you. People go, where's your mask, De Blasio? They're trolling him. He introduces the girl champion, and he goes, Michelle so-and-so, this. One guy goes, you deserve better, Michelle. They hate de Blasio. De Blasio leaves. The next guy comes on, the DA for New York, the chief prosecutor. So the head
Did he
prosecutor.
come out to the Law and Order music? Boom, 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 boom. Like, it's like his Stone Cold Steve Austin. I go, and we got a special guest. It goes, boom, boom. And everyone's like, they know.
And he goes, I'm going to put more people behind bars this year than ever before. He's got his two kids there. They both look like they're Sopranos.
Yeah.
So he's yelling. He goes, I'm here to keep these people safe and get the criminals off the street. Everyone's still wrapped up. Fuck de Blasio. You know, they're still on de Blasio. They're mad. They love this guy. He's got his fucking kids. He's like he's got the mob attitude. You know what I mean? So they're going, he goes out. The second thing, the announcers come and take this very seriously. So while the people are eating, he's yelling. He goes, this guy is eating with pure abandonment. He goes, someone dropped a hot dog on the floor, and then they picked it up and ate it. And they go, the 5-second rule is in effect. This is a sports legend, America. And they're going on and on. At one point,
why do you have to pick up the floor one? Wouldn't that slow you down? Can't you?
That's what he was impressed with it. She shut it down. He goes, and then instead of letting it go, she grabs it down the hatch.
Oh, this is a chick.
This was a chick
was a
that did
female
the
announcer.
5-second rule. And then once the announcer was real hyped on the 5-second rule thing, right? he hadn't seen this before. So when she picks it up, puts it in her mouth, and then he goes, I'm honestly getting emotional right now.
No,
he said,
he
I
didn't.
swear to God, this is on
Did he start like humming the
on
national
the
anthem?
boys. He goes, I'm getting emotional right now. He goes, this woman has the heart of a lion, a true champion. That's how he brings her up.
And he didn't say anything about her stomach. He goes, the heart of a lion, the stomach of a bear.
The announcers are incredible. I told you this
Yeah,
before,
yeah.
but when someone pukes, the announcer goes, a reversal, which is one of the funniest
Are
things.
any of them ex-competitive eaters? Like, is it that thing where they get
No,
the
this
ex-guy? Or
no,
the-
no.
Or this is just like central casting.
So, yeah, something like that. I think this guy is like an announcer guy. He's basically a carnival wrangler. He's got a straw hat on. He raps at one point.
Yeah.
They bring some big guy on who's like the juice drinking champion, and the two of them rap together. It's strange stuff going on over there. And the
They're like
girl-
juggalos? Is that probably the close?
No. This guy's like the type of guy that would step right up, everybody.
like an actual
get
car-
your
yeah, he is.
peanuts. He's a carny.
Is Carney.
He's the main guy that like hosts his carny energy. And the dude competition compared to the female competition is probably one of my favorite things, because the dude competition, there's 20 guys. They all have their own intro music, and they each have 2 referees. So when we walked in, there's like 40 referees, and they have 2 referees apiece, and they all have to agree that this hot dog was eaten, and they put it on the board. The girl competition, they're just like kind of on the honor system. They go, the thing finished, they go up to the girls, they go, how many do you think you ate? They go,
Just ballpark. It's fine.
they go,
whatever.
they go.
The men's competition is starting soon, so don't.
They
take,
are legitimately.
Don't take too long with the estimates.
It really is like that. There, how many? I don't know. I think she ate 15. Well, so the winner of the girls won ate 28 or something.
Yeah, it was like a 30,
Joey
I think.
Chestnut ate 78. He's so much higher than the other people.
Do you know what, for the first time Joey Chestnut won, how many he ate?
No, but he beats his own record.
That's what I'm
every
saying.
time.
What was his first record break?
I don't know, but him and Kobayashi had the beef.
Yeah.
So Kobayashi, he didn't want to sign a major league eating championship. So Kobayashi's the Asian guy, if anyone remembers. He used to do, and he would eat all the pizzas. They have oyster eating competitions, and a lot of these guys.
Sorry to cut you off. So his first win, 2007, he ate 66 dogs.
So he eats one more every year. He beats
Yeah.
his own record every year. But a lot of these guys make their money. They have a big YouTube channel. They do these endorsements. They do grand opening at this place, and they're going to eat 80,000 pizzas, right? So Kobayashi makes a lot of money from his touring around being an eater, right? Major League Eating said, if you want to be part of our competition, you got to sign an exclusive contract. Kobayashi didn't want to sign an exclusive contract. So what he did is he set up his own competition outside of the original competition, and he ate more hot dogs than the guy to say your thing is illegitimate. Then he broke into the competition. Cops had to kick him out. So it's a whole thing. But right now, Joey Chestnut is so much better than the rest of the people at eating that a lot of people won't participate. Like there's 2 or 3 big eaters that have like I said, big. One guy, he just signed like a $500,000 meal or a deal with McDonald's where he eats the whole McDonald's meal. Or the whole menu. He goes, I'll eat every item on the menu. And, these are
That's
big
a weird
endorsements.
thing that McDonald's would want.
Yeah, but it's a big endorsement.
Yeah,
He does it
yeah.
on his YouTube channel. It's branded content. People got to think this is big money. So he goes, it's not good for his brand to just go get spanked by Joey Chestnut.
That's true.
So he's better off being like, oh, I don't do major league eating. I'm just on the side. I'm on the underground eating. The same, that guy, the basketball guy, fucking the professor.
Yeah, like
It just does all the tricks.
The and one guy.
Yeah. He's like a big. I saw him do an interview where he was talking about why he didn't join the NBA, and he was like, honestly, it's just I'm a street baller, and I think it's about this for me. And
He's
was
like, also, I'm not very good at shooting.
he was trying to justify that the reason he was in the NBA. He had all these real reasons. He goes, I do get asked this a lot, and honestly, the thing about that is I would join the NBA, but. At the time, they weren't that huge on street ball. So there was that. And then now I'm here to make fucking dope ass videos. And he's like, none of it's like, I'm not that tall. And I'm fucking
white. And
I
not
played
that-
low level fucking college at one year.
Well,
whatever he played.
Rafer Alston, who played for the Raptors, skipped to my Lou. He was like a street baller guy who went from street ball to NBA. So it's not like
It's not unheard of.
Unheard of,
but I don't think this guy's like, maybe I'm sure that once the contract started getting pretty big, he would have taken one. He's trying
For
to.
sure.
So I'm
the
just
best
like,
was, remember the there's that one dude. There's always like the street ball. There's always one guy. He's like 500 pounds.
those guys are
always
the best.
The one 500 pound.
Yeah, he looked
dude.
like
He's got
CeeLo
good
Green.
handles. Yeah, exactly. But like 6'6".
Yeah. So all the dudes are all, the main few guys are athletes. There's 2 or 3 other guys that are good, and they're all athletes. Mm-hmm. Joey Chestnut, and then there's 40 guys that are just fat fucking pigs.
How many people compete?
Like 15.
How many people are on the
I don't
stage?
even know how
15.
you get into this,
Yeah.
but it really reminded me of old UFC, where before it became like the real deal sport.
When there were no weight classes, kind of.
Exactly. You would just have a couple of fucking street fighters, Tank Abbott, those kind of guys.
Yeah.
So there was a dude there. He's like on the circuit. He does podcasts called Chigger. He's just huge. He's just this huge ass white dude. He's fat. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they have beards. Him and this other black guy had huge beards, and it was disgusting because these guys don't even have systems. Like Joey Chestnut is methodical. He goes, he eats the 2 dogs one at a time, and while he's eating the dogs, he dips the buns with his other hand and then switches. He has a system.
Yeah.
The other guys are like just all over the place. He's like, they're covered in like wet hot dog. Some of them use
wet
Kool-Aid
bun?
instead of water. So they're like legitimately, there was a few guys on stage. There was just fat, gross guys. You look at their total, Chestnut's at 50. They're at like 14. It's gross.
Yeah, and you're like, what are you doing this for? Just to say I competed?
I think so. Well, they must be, they're ranked. They give them the rankings. They all come out like wrestlers. And they go, this guy's 14th in the world. Maybe they make some money where they go, oh, this other guy, he was the oyster eating championship of the
Right.
state of, Maine.
I saw when that was going on, there was I don't know if it was that day, but it might have been that day. Also, they did like drinking a gallon of lemonade.
Yeah, that's the big black guy.
Yeah, the big black guy. And
Huge black
it's like
guy.
a
He's the
giant thing,
champion.
and he just drinks a gallon of.
He has the record for the most lemonade, and he also raps with the carnival guy.
Pretty sick.
They do like duet rapping, and it's a bizarre world. I got so sunburned, it was insane.
Oh, you got literally.
Oh, I got
Scorched.
destroyed by the sun.
Yeah.
But the
Sun is your
girls,
enemy.
the dudes are a little more like athletes. Like after the thing, there was this guy. I talked to him.
But are the chicks all fat? They're not, right? They're all small.
The chicks look a little more like butch lesbians.
Yeah.
Yeah. The chicks, like one girl who was near the front, pure Karen, like 60 years old, Karen haircut, like legitimately definition of a Karen. That's what she looked like. And she's fucking stuffing her old ass fat face with hot dogs. Most of them were a lot of Latino chicks. That was a big theme for the girls.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of Latino chicks were into the hot dog eating competition. But most of the dudes, you'd be talking to them after, and they go, ugh. And I go, do you puke? And they go, no, I can't puke because I don't want to train my body that we can puke. You know what I mean?
I love how you're fucking like just chalking shop with all these guys out there. So that was pretty sick. Didn't win this year. So you must feel pretty bad right now. I go, oh, yeah, I do. I go,
And he
cool.
was
So you like,
but Joey Chestnut didn't feel bad. Joey Chestnut's walking around like, hey, taking photos, man of the people, because he knows how to do this. That's what I'm saying. It's like certain people are like, their bodies are freaks of nature and they're like meant to do this.
Yeah.
Where certain people like, they're not, and they're
well, he also approaches this not as like a fat slob who's trying to eat like all this.
Yeah.
He's straight up like,
well, there's less
trained
room in your
his-
body when you're fat because I think your organs are expanded.
Yeah.
You
But
know.
he's like trained his
There's all the food
body.
in there
He's
already.
really like trains. Like he has a regimen. He
And
trains.
he fasts apparently, and then I think they fill their body with a lot of water.
Water I remember seeing that to stretch their stomach out.
Yeah, so that's
They
a big
drink
thing.
tons of water.
Anyways, I thought he friggin' Joey Chestnut was very impressive. A sports legend. I do agree with that.
An actual legend.
He's a sports fucking legend. I recommend anyone go to that. It was.
I'm gonna go next year.
I'll tell you one last thing is so one last thing that was making me laugh is Gino Bisconte's there, right?
Yeah, he was there. Yeah, something.
And the whole time he was yelling at De Blasio too with the
I
relish.
bet,
Oh
I
yeah. But on top of that, Gino, he spent the whole half the time. He's on the phone with his bookie. He's trying to find a guy to give him action on the eating competition.
He's trying to get a line on the.
He's
eating
trying to get a
competition?
line, but no one will give him action. So there's no. to bet against Joey Chestnut, you got to bet $4,000 to make $100. That's
so you bet on him. Yeah.
So the only thing you do real is bet over unders on Joey Chestnut, right?
I saw that because Darren Ravel on Twitter goes, it's a lock for the under, and he was basically like, I'm max betting the under, and he was wrong. But he said like Darren Ravel straight up was like, he saw this guy on Twitter.
He didn't think he could do a 78.
No, I think the over under was 73,
especially in the heat.
I think it was 73.5 was the over under. And he straight up was like, no chance. He's like, I'm putting all my money on the under. And then everybody was ripping on him.
They should be ripping on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never bet against Joey. That's just a pussy bet. Dude,
you're not betting against him. It's just the over.
Betting on the under is always such a girl bet to begin with. You should be ashamed. People who bet on the under, it's a
well, you know what it is?
Weakest maneuver.
It is because the thing is you're winning immediately. Right? When you bet the under, you're always winning until you're like the end when you're losing.
But you're also betting on the like weaker fucking outcome too.
Yeah, but it's like you're basically just, I mean, whatever. If you're sports betting, you just bet on whatever you think's going to happen. But it's, you know, when you're betting the over the whole game, you're like, you're trying to get there. You know, you're like, we're almost there. And then when you do it, you've won.
Yeah.
Whereas the unders, they're winning the entire time.
He's out there though trying to get
That's so funny.
a bookie, and he said he called his bookie, and he's like, dude, I'm trying to bet the thing, and he goes, his bookie goes, dude, I'm not doing eating competitions.
He goes, look, football will be back in a month. Just chill out.
He goes, I don't even want to have to fucking go watch that to like or whatever. And Gino should have bet $50 too. Like, it's not even worth.
Yeah, he's probably You're like, oh.
Anyway, I thought
why couldn't you just be like, all right, Gino, what bet do you want to make? I'll just take the other side of it.
I guess I could have done that.
Just to be nice. You guys could have just had some action. Like,
yeah, I could have done that. And then I'll tell you one thing. So I should have filmed this, but people don't know this. But I was at Coney Island, which is pretty fun, and we went on the rides and stuff. But so people don't know this, but I can beat the record at any mini basketball game.
Yeah, you're a fucking.
So I've never,
lights out. You're basically Joey Chestnut.
I'm Joey Chestnut of playing mini basketball.
Yeah.
So I have a stance. I turn my body into a gyro. People probably listen to me and like, no, you can't. I've never not beaten the record.
It's literally like Joey Chestnut with like the hot dog, the bun,
I have my system.
the buns and
so
dogs.
I shoot with one hand and I grab with the other
you're
hand.
just like,
I'm like a human. It's like I'm juggling.
Yeah.
I get into a flow state.
Yeah, totally.
And so I went to the thing, and there was a bunch of like these like kind of like not all black, but like urban kind of, dudes that were hanging out at the basketball machine.
Yeah.
Like a lot of like Puerto Rican dudes and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And I went up, the record was like 65 or some shit like that. And I went up and I was talking shit immediately, and I go, I'll break that record. I'll put any money on it. I go, I'm not going to take your money, but like it would be rude of me, but and they all stepped aside, and immediately 65, I shot out 92. The record, and then I went hung out at the park, came back, still up. I've never not be able to break the record. That being said, sometimes
Probably everybody's like, who was that guy?
Yeah, they go, who the fuck was that guy? I go, I'm a podcaster, comedian. They reset some of the records.
They get reset
once a week or once a month. A lot of these places. I've never not broken a record, and I've broken probably like 30 of them.
Yeah,
it's a flow state.
I mean, I played against you. You're very good.
I see other people. I go, you're not like me.
No, you got a good system.
Yeah, I get in the flow state and like this, and then I go. It's on your tippy toes because you need all of the gyro because the thing starts moving. You need to be perfectly still, so you need your body to not move at all. So you almost. It's like if you were trying to hold like something and you need it not to spill, but you were on like a treadmill.
Yeah.
Like that's what I do with my body. That's a perfect way to explain it.
Yeah.
If you were holding a glass of water that was really full while running on a treadmill, that's the type of, what do you call those? Gyros or?
I don't know. I don't know. That's probably a different podcast. What are these gyros?
Anyway, fucking shout out to Joey.
That's cool though. I want to go to Coney Island. My girl has this is not really Coney, but because you're saying you're at the carnival.
Yeah.
So she lives in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, in like, a nice area in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. And then just on her street, the whole block has turned into a 10-day carnival. It's like the CNE in Toronto, but like super shitty.
Really?
But it's like blocking out. It's literally outside of her door. Like there's like a fucking one of those spinning things, where everybody pukes.
What the fuck?
Like and she's like, yeah, this just like popped up out of nowhere, and it's there for 10 days. I'm like, this is crazy. Like you have to you can't even walk down the sidewalk to get in.
Let's go to it.
We go, yeah. It's like outside of her fucking door, but I was like, this is crazy.
So
just
funny.
plop this outside of your door, and you're like, this is here for 2 weeks.
That's fucking wild.
Carney's a bounty. This is like the real Carney shit because like
Real
every
deal.
game is like it's just like a little trailer. They drive it up. You know, they're on to the next thing like in 2 weeks and
Someone dies every year.
oh for sure.
That's
Shooting
fucking,
the spray in the water and
that's
all that
sick.
shit.
Well, I want to do that. And we have a few sick questions that we're gonna answer on the Patreon, and also we're gonna go through the Trump shit with. And the big, like the Trump stuff and the Facebook extremist shit.
Yeah.
We're gonna go
The
through
best
all that.
was, oh my God.
Chelsea Handler said some wild shit, so we're gonna talk about all that.
How he
Patreon.
pronounced the Google CEO's name.
yeah, we'll go through all that shit. But all right, come to the shows. Tell a friend about the BOYSCAST. And again, patreon.com/theboyscast. We're getting close to having a pretty solid fucking community over there.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/theboyscast. If you don't mind, tell a friend and come to the shows when we're in your city. Thank you for listening. Peace.
Aye.